I have one question in here. My uncle recently committed suicide. How should I guard my mind as I move on? He was quite an important figure in my youth. For people who committed suicide, why did he commit suicide? There are so many reasons for it. Committing suicide is taking one's life, one's own life. And why did he do that? If we look at the case just superficially from the surface, we probably would think that this guy is stupid. Life is so valuable. How come he took his own life? But when you really look into it, many of these people who committed suicide are really intelligent people. They could be tycoons. They could be very successful in what they're doing. I heard of so many cases where these people actually have been very successful in their businesses, and somehow they still couldn't find value in their life, and they just took their own life. Why did he do that? There are many reasons for it. And maybe if we can do it, we classify these reasons into 3 time dimensions. The past reasons, the present reasons, and the future reasons. These are all the comprehensive time dimensions. The past, the present, and the future, right? What are the past reasons for someone committing suicide? When we're talking about past reasons, we don't just talk about last year or the year before. We talk about his previous reincarnations, his previous lifetimes. He must have accumulated a lot of karmic energy that has driven him to do what he has just done, committing suicide. The way I look at life is like this. We have been accumulating a lot of karma. You, me, all of us. And karma has 3 natures. Good, bad, not ugly. Good, bad, and neutral. Okay, good, bad, and neutral. It's either good or bad, or neither good, neither bad. Anything else? That's almost complete the whole list. I mean, it's either good, bad, or in between good, bad. And if your uncle has accumulated a lot of bad karma, for example, in building up emotions, in building up depressive attitudes in previous life, then in this life he would adopt the same kind of, more or less the same kind of personality. So some personality is prone towards committing suicide. For example, depression. Because a person who suffers from depression, more or less, some people suffer more, some people suffer less, they tend to look at everything as a gray world. Nothing is interesting to them. Nothing is encouraging to them. They don't find values in themselves. That's the reason why they take his own life. Usually, people who suffer from depression, they have a tendency to terminate this kind of attitude, this kind of feeling, because they find themselves to have no value. If you find your life to have a lot of value, you won't terminate it. It's because you don't find value in it. And that's not because of this present lifetime, it's because of previous lifetime that you have been building up like that. So that's the past reasons. And how come he built up that kind of attitude, that kind of personality? There's so many reasons. It's so inexhaustible, those reasons, that we can't define just one. He could be suppressing those people. He could be bringing emotions to other people so that other people suffer from depression. He's inducing, he's creating emotion, he's creating depressive attitudes for other people. And in the process of doing it, he's also building up for himself. But we know that is from causality, cause and effect. Whatever happened to you or to your uncle, it does not come out of no reason. It comes out of causality. And if, first of all, there's a cause, and the cause will bring to an effect. It's always like that. Nothing in the world is not causality. There must be a cause for it, and because of this cause, and so many conditions contributing to bring this cause to the result. So in between cause and result, there are contributing conditions that build towards it. If the conditions do not mature, even if you have the cause of committing suicide, you won't come to the result of committing suicide. So there must be contributing causes for it. So that's the meaning of causality. So that's a past reasons. The present reason, because of the past affecting the present. The present reason is because of the background, because of the people, of the environments, of the people surrounding him. So if he's in a depressive state, he's always suffering from depression, but he's surrounded by people who are vigorous, who attach a lot of values to life, and who wants to be compassionate, who wants to practice the four immeasurable joy. We will talk about this morning, the four immeasurables: insight, compassion, loving kindness, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So you can find the importance of friends, the importance of relatives, the importance of guidance and advice, the importance of looking for guidance and advice. So everybody should be in the process of looking for enlightenment. When you're looking for enlightenment, it means that you're looking for friends who are pursuing the enlightenment course, and you're also working towards to improve yourself. So if your uncle is working in an environment that he's surrounded by friends who are positive, who are practicing, we wouldn't say Buddhism. Buddhism is just a word. We have to throw away that word. If you're practicing the four immeasurables, then all these indirect educations will influence you. But your uncle hasn't got that kind of environment. So you are in that kind of environment now. If you suffer from depression, see, every Saturday you come to this the meditation, and then every Saturday you'll be encouraged by people who are positive in life, who wants to pursue the enlightenment course. Then you will ponder, should I take my own life? So that brings up one thing that we should be talking about: the importance of spirituality, the importance of people who pursue that and people who let other people know about it. So if your uncle has come here all the time, listening to monks or listening to friends talking about values of life, he may have hesitated not taking his own life. So there are present reasons that contribute to him being so negative, adding very, very little value to life. He's not surrounded by people who are like that, who are positive. And future reasons, depression is always associated with worries, with anxieties in the future. And for example, meditation, what you have to learn is you drop your past. You drop your future. The past is already gone. You can't get the past back. The past is yesterday. Can you bring yesterday back? You cannot. Can you bring last year's back? No. Can you bring miserable experiences in childhood back? You cannot. But you did. You always brought back your past. You put it on the table, put it on your bedside, and you think about it all the time. You always like to bring back the past. Your miserable past. You've been abused in your childhood, or you lost a dad, you lost a mom, or some experiences that you feel that you don't like, or you have some experiences you feel that you cherish. Some experiences that you feel that I cherish my past when I was so happy, and how come I'm not happy now? So the happy past is gone. You want to bring that happy past onto the table, and you want to think, how come I didn't have this happiness now? And you agonize on it. I lost my happiness. Or so miserable that I hate it. So your hatred, all these emotions, it's because you hang on to the past. Your depression is because you hang on to the past. And meditation is to train yourself to drop the past. You cannot bring the past. You cannot experience the same thing that happened in the past. You can learn lessons from the past, but you don't have to be emotionally attached to the past. But that's everybody is doing. You're always bringing your past on the table and ponder on it, and you can't let go of it. You can't let go of it. What happened yesterday that agonized you is unfair. How come he said this to me? How come he fire me? How come he did that? How come he do that? I mean, you always do that. But meditation say, dropped it. It won't happen again. Future worries hasn't come. Why do you have to worry about it? The anxiety. What's the probability that what you worry about comes true? What's the probability? It may be very little. It would be just 0.1%. But because it still has a percentage, you worry about it. You have anxiety about it. You always bring the future that hasn't happened yet and bring it on the table and worry about it. That's the habitual tendency of our karma, of our personalities. And because of all these things, and the present, you attach to them. Right now, at the present moment, you only overwhelm yourself with whatever things that stimulate your senses. You attach to them. That's the reason why you like to look at movies. That's the reason why you like to listen to praises and not criticism. That's the reason why you want to taste the flesh and blood of animals. You want to taste steak, lobsters, fish. You want to kill them because you want to taste it. Because at present your taste buds enjoy this delicious flesh and blood of animals that you kill, or you indirectly promote killing. But when you do these things, mind you, you're creating karma too. You're creating new karma for yourself. So all this mixture, this become a hot pot of mixtures that bring you to all this karmic tragedy. And we can't get out of it. We can't get out from that pot. We're mixed with it. We're overwhelmed with it. That's what your uncle did. He was overwhelmed with karmic energy. And who should we blame for it? I don't know who. Not God. Nothing to do with God. And as a matter of fact, there's no such thing as God. It's in you. The God is in you. About the God concept, we can talk and talk and talk, but I already talked about it so much that for people who like to talk about God, I say, yes, there's a God. For people who don't like to talk about God, I say, no, there's no God. For people who say, there may or may not be God, I say, yes, you're right. Because God is just a concept. Why do you idolize, personify the God? You have that God in you. Don't look for it. Don't look for that God. It's in you. That God is at peace when you're at peace. That God has a lot of trouble when you have trouble. That God will become the real God when there's no God in you. So, your uncle committed suicide. There's so many reasons for it. And he was an important figure in your youth. Yes, he helped you a lot, and let it go. If everybody know about the teaching of the concept or the teaching of karma, the teaching of reincarnation, the teaching of this immeasurable insight, the teaching of meditation, the world will be a better place to live in, because then you know that you should nurture morality, concentrations, and wisdom. And to prevent this from happening, can you help? Can you help in to prevent people committing suicide? How can you help in? Try to know more about it. Try to know more about it and talk to other people. You become their guru. You become the gods, the guardian angel. You become the guardian angel. Everybody can be a guardian angel, you know. You don't have to look for guardian angel outside. You are a guardian angel to all those who surround you, to yourself. You can do a lot of contributions in life. I think the value of life is not just in taking a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, going to work, going to school, raising your family, fulfilling all this karmic energy. If that's life, it's so boring. Life is about, this morning we'll talk about immeasurable joy. Life is about the immeasurable insights. Life is about immeasurable joy. Life is about compassion, loving kindness, sympathetic joy, equanimity. Life is about enriching your life to such an extent that you transcend life, that you transcend, that you get to a transcendental level of understanding. That you really have to do it. You really have to do your meditation, to do your research, and and dig into the understanding of it to find out. The more you dig into it, it's just like digging a well. The more you dig into it, the more you know, until you get water, then the spring would comes out. And it would benefit the whole world with water. It would make plants grow, make flowers grow. The whole world would be benefited by your quest for wisdom. You can make the contributions. Why don't you make a wish? My uncle committed suicide, and more or less I know the reason. Maybe I should contribute towards guarding myself from committing suicide and helping others to get away from committing suicide. People who suffer from depression, they prone towards suicidal attempt. They must practice meditation to get rid of it. Meditation is not about God. Meditation is about to get rid of this committing suicide attempt, get rid of emotions, getting rid of a depressive attitude to the values of their own life. Okay, so that's my answers to it. Next question. A few people ask me what the tables outside are for. Please explain that tomorrow is the birthday of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. You mean the tables in the gracious hall? All those tables are for people who come for a free lunch. Because on the day of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, there are a lot of people who come to pay their worship to Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. And usually on that date, the lunch is free on that date. So that there will a lot of people come, sometimes 1,000 people, those are the tables. In case it rains, we'll have tent for them too. So those are the tables. Any more questions? Raise your hands if you have any more questions. You don't have to write it down. Some people, they are... Any questions? Yeah?
How about a few words about your trip in Japan?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, well, our trip to Japan, I think, is quite valuable. I spent about 9 days in Japan. Of the 45 days, I think I spent about 45 days out in this trip. It's been all packed up with a lot of activities every day, and of course, 9 days were for the trip to Japan. And trip to Japan, we visited 44 temples. There are 88 temples altogether. 88 temples along the shoreline of the southern side of the island of Japan. Now, there's a history to it. In the Tang Dynasty, which is about 1,000 years from now, in the Tang Dynasty of China, I don't know what's the name of the era in Japan, what you call that. The king of Japan sent a monk to China, and his name is Kong Hai. Kong is emptiness, Hai is the sea. Kong Hai is his name. The monk Kong Hai was sent by the king, by the order of the king, to China to learn Buddhism. And why did the king send him out? Because in Japan, they all knew that Japan is an island where they have volcano eruptions of volcanoes and natural disasters. They knew that many thousands of years ago. They already know Japan has tsunami a few years ago. They have tsunami, volcano eruptions, and all these natural disasters. And the king worry about that, and he sent a monk to China to say want to learn Buddhism so that they can somehow to learn some mantra or learn something to guard them from natural disasters. So this monk was sent to China, and he learned, and he came back, and when he came back, he became a master in some school of the Buddhist thought in China. And the king said, what you learn, I want you to set up temples along the shoreline to chant mantras for the welfare and safety of all citizens. In 3 years, try to build as many temples as possible. So he built 88 temples in 3 years. Well, he went to one prefecture and then said, oh, this is the temple that should be built here. And then the magistrate, the judge, or the official of that prefecture would try to organize a team to build that temple. So he went along the shoreline and built 88 temples, and we went to visit those temples, old temples, thousands of years old, at least 1,200 years old. Okay, let's drop about this on one side, and let's talk about what we have perceived, what we saw when we were on a trip. Japan is a very clean country. It's as a group country. They have a group spirit. Whatever they do, they always go in group. And of course, every country has its pros and cons, like China. I'm not saying certain country is really bad. I mean, there's always pros and cons. Like in Canada, there are pros and cons about Canada, pros and cons about Japan, pros and cons about China. We don't want to be biased in these things. I went to all these temples, and I saw groups of pilgrimage people. What they do is they have a cane in hand. A group of, say, 20 or 30 people. They have a wooden stake, and then they wear in white, and they have this straw hat. So they're like a samurai straw hat. You know, everybody putting a straw hat and a white coat, and then they carry a bag, and in that bag they put in books of what? Books. When they go to every temple, they want to put a stamp on it. I've been to this temple, put a stamp on it, and somehow every temple has a red ink stamp put on it. So there was a monk or a layman at the entrance of the temple. When that person visited this place, they put stamp on it. That means he has been here. And they stamp on that book. They collect 88 of these stamps, And some of them even stamp at the back. So they have a white coat with a lot of red ink stamp on the back. And they believe that at least they have to do it in one lifetime. Some people did it 100 times, some people, going to all these 88 temples. Some people walk there. In other words, you could spend 3 months walking from one temple to another, but just by walking. We did it by, of course, we in a Greyhound bus, you know. We sit in a Greyhound bus, it's so fast, but all other people could be just walking. And there are Caucasian, Australians, Americans, Canadian. I saw a Canadian, I saw a Torontonians. He graduated from University of Toronto. I said, how are you? Where are you from? I'm from Toronto. Oh, I'm from Vancouver. Oh, you're from Vancouver. So a Canadian, yes. And I said, I graduated from U of T. Oh, I graduated from U of T too. So there are people like that. And they walk, and you know what they use the coat for later? When they die, they want to wear that coat to showing all the stamps that they visit all these temples. But the temple is so huge, and the garden is so beautiful. Everything is so nice, so beautiful, and they have a pond in there. Every time you go in the temple, you have to scoop up some water, wash your hands, and then drink a little bit and put it back, and then go in there, and then you pay your worship in there. And when they are standing in front, a whole group of Japanese standing in front of the main shrine, they start to chant a sutra. You know what sutra they chant? The Heart Sutra. The Heart Sutra that we chanted in English, right? And all these different places, they are very peaceful, very scenic. And then after the 5th day, we left the group because every temple is more or less the same. They're gorgeous, they're beautiful, they're peaceful, tranquil, but we want to go somewhere else to visit. So we went to Tokyo and Kyoto. And Tokyo is a place for shopping. If you like shopping, you should go to Tokyo. The Ginza place. Everywhere there's shops. And one thing I find out about Japan is they have the best coffee shops. Every cup of coffee is so nice. When you drink it, oh, so nice. And you can sit in there, you can put your computer in there and read in there for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, or the whole day. They won't bother you. And I don't know how they make the money. Because the rental in Tokyo is so expensive, and they allow people to sit for the whole day for only 2 cups of coffee. I don't know how they make money. They have candies and all that, and they're very polite. They clean up everything. It's so nice and clean. Everything is so nice and clean. Everything is so organized, especially the food. If you buy sushi from 7-Eleven, they have 7-Eleven, buy a pack of sushi, it's so clean and hygienic. Everything is so nice. You know, the packages of food, and the subway is right on time. You can't go earlier. So we took a train we wanted to take a train to Tokyo, to Kyoto, and then we said the plane, the bullet train starts at 6:30, and we say we will go a little early, so we go at 6:25. So we thought, 6:25, and the bullet train is supposed to be 8:30, so we're only 5 minutes difference. Here comes the bullet train. Okay, let's walk into it and wait for 5 minutes. And then zoom away. And then the attendant came back and checked our ticket and said, "Oh, you're 5 minutes early. You're on the wrong train." See, even 5 minutes counts in the subway. And so they're right on time. Everything is so right on time. If you want to go to Japan, I'm promoting the Japanese tourism now. So good, Japan. I'm promoting you for tourism. The coffee is so excellent. It's right on time. People are not particularly friendly, but they're very polite, really polite. And the packaging is excellent. When you want to buy something, the way they package it, I think the packaging is even more expensive than what is inside there. It's so nice and neat. And if you don't speak Japanese and if you walk on the streets, no way. They don't speak English. I go to the station and said, well, how do I go to Kyoto? No. How to go to Kyoto? I don't speak Japanese. So we have to find someone who can speak Japanese to go to the station that we want to go to. So that's what it is. Japan, we went to Kyoto. Kyoto is so beautiful. The temples there are so huge and so peaceful, and you can see ladies wearing kimonos walk all over the place. So it is so traditional, and it is so colorful because the temples are grayish in color. It's in stones, but a lot of kimono people walking around. And we went to Clearwater Temple. When you go to a temple, you have to go through the whole avenue. On both sides, there's so many stores selling gifts and everything, and they're all standing in there. All these kimono ladies walking by. You look as if you're in the 16th century Japan. You're in the Japan that was 100 years ago. Kyoto. Kyoto is the best. To me, Kyoto is the best place of all these other places.